All right, we're here at the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. Got a nice full house today. Everyone's just came for breakfast. I'm not sure they came for the show, but they came for breakfast.
Oh, it's going to be good. It's
we should open a breakfast spot.
Oh, you should.
Yeah,
Think about
of course
that.
we do have one downstairs.
Downstairs.
My name is Tom Douglas.
I'm Loretta Douglas.
We are the family duo that takes care of this show. You are on maybe twice a month, 3 times a month,
Yeah.
and Bridget takes the other times. Where are y'all from? Here. Everyone's Chicago. That's
Ooh.
where my folks are from. Spokane. That's where my wife's from. Ooh, I don't know
That's
who's
the
from
furthest
there.
away for sure.
Not even Bruce Lee is from West Seattle.
Sunnyside? Really? Right out by our farm.
Yeah,
In Prosser.
Exactly. We're in Prosser. We have a big show for you today. We are on Cairo every week and have been. This is our 25th anniversary year of the show. And we've been on for a long, long time, since you were a wee pup.
A wee pup.
Speaking of wee pups, I went to Europe for 5 weeks. As you
Yep.
know, we taped a few shows in advance so that, I say that, but that
The
makes
magic
me,
of radio
that
is
makes me
maybe
sound
people
old as
didn't know.
when we tape. We don't tape anymore,
Record.
do we? We record, yeah. Anyway, I was gone for 5 weeks. I come home, roll over to kiss my wife in bed for the first time after getting over my jet lag, and there's a puppy in between us.
Uh-huh. Did you know this was happening?
I did not know this was happening.
He really did not. She sent a photo to our family group chat and just said new family member.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'll tell you later in the show how we ended up with this puppy, but anyway, yeah, there was a puppy. So I hugged the puppy. Good morning, dear. Anytime you want to come join us here for breakfast like these fine folks, you can just go to hotstovesociety.com. Usually comes with a hot breakfast. It depends on the mood of Chef Bridget. And hot coffee and tea, and it's a good take. And, oftentimes our guests bring taste treats.
We've got some taste today.
Oh, do we? Who's that from?
Little ice cream and a little Eliza Ward is doing the Parmesan tasting. And it's a special one.
It's a special one.
Winter milk from Italy.
Wow.
Well,
Can't
who
wait.
knew? We are live in our studios here at the Hot Stove. We give private and public classes here at the Hot Stove, and we're upstairs of the gorgeous Hotel Andra on the second floor, all the way to the back. You guys found us no problem. Looks like nobody's wandering the hallways looking for us still. And you can also watch us on our YouTube channel go to Tom Douglas & Co. and click on the Cairo Radio or listen wherever you get your podcast.
Yep.
Lots of things going on. All right, upcoming classes here at the Hot Stove, The Art of Pan Dolce with Chef Nico Caballero, who happens to be on the technical board today. That's June 7th. American Chinese Takeout Classics with Chef Rashida Rosli. I would like to go to that
Me
show
too.
because
What do you think of? Like, what's the go-to American
here's-
Chinese classic takeout for you?
well, if I were to get it delivered, it would be pad see ew.
That's Thai.
That's same diff. I don't mean that in the same diff like it's the same ethnicity. I'm talking about takeout kind of classic.
Okay, that's
Oh,
your
okay.
go-to
Yeah.
takeout.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could be pizza. That's takeout
Yeah.
classic also. But I don't order pizza to go, right? I don't know. I just, I've never used a food delivery app. Has anyone in here ever used a food delivery app? Never. So you use them 3 times a week.
That's not true.
Before kids.
Prior to kids, I use them a lot more. Now I can't afford to. There's too many of them.
Now it's, what are you doing for dinner, Dad?
Yeah, exactly. Want to take us out? And he says no because taking 3 toddlers out to dinner
my
is
God,
miserable.
it's the worst.
But I want to know if she's going to make like Mongolian beef, orange chicken, like mushu pork, that type of thing is what I think of as those like American
Yeah.
Chinese takeout dishes.
I would think of some dish that traveled, like mushu pork traveled.
Yeah.
And a matter of fact, in my opinion, mushu pork in a restaurant is often undercooked. The cabbage
You
isn't
need it
quite
to
cooked.
steam itself
So
a
when it
little
steams
bit. Yeah.
in the to-go box, I think it's better.
There you go.
That's my opinion.
We lost our go-to Chinese takeout spot, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Chef at Wok.
Yeah.
And now I have nowhere in
The
Seattle to get
Gimois in
good
Magnolia.
Magnolia Chinese takeout. So if anybody
Gimois.
knows.
The Gimois.
Okay. I
Judy
do love
Foods.
Judy Foods, but they don't deliver to and I can't make that.
All right, June 28th is Sushi 101 with Chef Andy Elmore and much, much more. Check out our schedule at hotstovesociety.com. Yesterday, I did a class for 30 14-year-olds.
14
And it really reminded me of having a 14-year-old myself in my life at one point and what you might be having in front of you.
Yeah, and were you like Godspeed or?
Yeah,
That's
it was
a
just
lot
like
of 14-year-olds.
Yeah, it's a lot in the same room.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get him to talk at all
Oh, really?
until I said, okay, you're not getting lunch until you ask me some questions.
Uh-huh.
And next thing you know, a few hands popped up.
There you go.
Yeah,
The brave ones.
good fun. The international school, that was fun having them.
Oh, fun.
Mr. Fish and Chowder opened while I was gone. Congratulations. That
Thank
was your
you.
first restaurant opening on your own, essentially, with
Yeah.
Amy, you and Amy and the team.
Amy and I, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll tell you, it's very different watching a restaurant opening from Europe than it is in the house.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
It was different opening one without you.
Yeah. And don't act so happy about it.
It was fun. We
Good.
had a really good time. It was.
Looks cute as a button.
It does.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm glad. Thank you.
Today's show is going to encompass a few different things, culinary highlights from my travels.
Can't wait to hear.
Chef Michael Windham is here from Sleeping Lady Resort in Leavenworth. Talk about, is it KP dinners?
KP.
KP dinners.
Georgian KP.
I'm going to have a Memorial Day picnic menu. Why not? It's Washington asparagus season. I bought a bunch last night, and I was concerned that I was going to miss the whole season while I was away. And I got nice, big, fat spears
Oh,
last
your
night.
favorite.
Yeah, my favorite. Larry and Sharon Brown are here to share their story of a new shop called Moo Ice Cream in Fall City. And Eliza Ward is here, already prepping a little Parmesan Reggiano tasting for us. Excited about that. Loretta, what's your taste of the week?
My.
Well, I didn't know it was going to be this difficult. You've had
so
a sad
many.
week.
I have had kind of a sad food week, I will say. Let's see. I made one of our favorites that I learned from you is the chow fun noodles with the green onion in them.
So those are kind of what they call fresh rice
wide-
noodles.
I love
wide
those.
rolled rice
Yeah.
noodle essentially, and we buy them fresh up at Town and Country and Shoreline. You can get them at Wajimaya. And in our family, you always made them where we cut them, separated them, and then crisp them kind of in the
Pan-fry them,
pan,
yeah.
pan fry them so they get really, really crispy on the outside, soft on the inside. And I haven't been able to get my 4-year-old to eat them until, of course, you made them, and then he would eat them because you made them instead of me.
Makes sense.
But you made them the other day, and he's been asking for them since. So I made them 2 nights ago.
Uh-huh.
And
Did he spit them out and say, oh, these aren't as good as
no,
Dad
he
do?
said, "Mommy, you made them better than Dad did."
Oh. Can you make them frozen? Because I have them in my freezer and I've messed
don't
up.
freeze.
They don't freeze. So I'm thinking of a different thing.
Yeah,
I buy them frozen at Wajimaya, but I must be thinking of
it
something
must be a
else.
different noodle. Because these ones are just refrigerated.
Okay.
And sometimes even at the store, they're not in the refrigerated section.
Yeah, you can. They last a week
they're
outside
shelf-
of the
okay.
refrigerator. But when I have frozen them in the past, like I didn't quite get to them, so I pop them in the freezer, pull them out. Then they just kind of crumble apart when they thaw.
mush out.
So.
Okay.
Anyways, Ben brought home some really beautiful Mishima steaks. I did really simple grilled steak with like a kind of Chinese black pepper sauce, and then I made Washington asparagus with shallot oil and sesame seeds, and it was super simple and really delicious. And I usually eat those noodles for breakfast, and it was nice to have them for dinner.
Well, you know, you are married to a man who works at Mishima Reserve / Beecher's Cheese as the in-house counsel, and you get some mighty fine steak meals for nothing.
Man, they just had a employee case sale where they were giving employee pricing on cases of steaks. 5-star.
Wow.
Yeah, we bought 3 cases.
Well, where do you put them? You don't have no room in your
we
freezer.
have a chest freezer downstairs.
oh,
We got
okay.
3 cases of steak in there. Can't wait.
Can't wait. No kidding.
Your taste?
My taste of the week. You know, we took Eric Tanaka, our partner, out to Diamond Bay Dim Sum which is where the old House of Hong was in Chinatown. And, I was between the King Street Cafe and the House of Hong. Those were my two dim sum haunts from the time I moved to Seattle in 1977 until recently, maybe 5 years ago, when House of Hong closed down at the beginning of COVID, I believe, or somewhere in the middle of COVID. I can't remember exactly. So it's been remodeled. It's a big place now. What do you think? It must have had 250 seats.
I mean, yeah, it's huge. But House of Hong was huge, but in a different way.
This took all the walls out, so it's just one big hall, a dim sum hall. And I guess it's more than the taste. It was good. It was perfectly fine. Typical Seattle dim sum, I thought.
Yep.
Nothing crazy. But what I loved about the place was super clean, and they have a stage, and I could just see big groups there. I really enjoyed. We had two tables next to each other, and I enjoyed the whole big group, like jumping back and forth in between the tables, and there were kids and adults, and it just felt like what a big dim sum house is supposed to be.
Like.
And there's one place that we used to always go up in Vancouver, BC, called the Pink Pearl, where they probably had 700 seats there, if I had to guess. It was massive. But the Pink Pearl, you have 12 tops. So in the restaurant business, we call them tops, right? A table for 12.
Lazy Susan in the middle?
Sometimes, not always. But Pink Pearl has carts, and so they don't need as much on the table. But my favorite part was, and Diamond Bay does this too, if you feel the tablecloth, it's kind of plasticky. And then you feel it, and like, wow, there's 10 layers of plastic there. At the Pink Pearl, you eat with your 12 people, and you got all these dishes and bamboo pots and water glasses and everything. And they literally lift the edges of the tablecloth all to the center. They lift the whole table's worth of dishes up and put it into like 2 or 3 bus tubs and just drop it. And there's somebody right behind him with 12 plates, boom, 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 and chopsticks, and it's ready to go again in 2 minutes.
That's impressive.
It's the craziest thing. And it looks to me like Diamond Bay is kind of set up that way. I didn't see him do it.
They were definitely just pulling the top sheet off and
just moving on to the next group. And that's what, to me, when I had dim sum in Hong Kong or wherever I've had it the best, where I like it the most, is usually carts. Diamond Bay is not carts, but usually carts and usually
turn and burn.
I love that.
That's impressive.
It's faster than McDonald's. You simply sit down, the cart comes by, you're eating in 2 seconds.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so it reminded me of the heyday of dim sum restaurants here in Seattle, which is not quite there anymore.
It's a different world.
It's moved out to the suburbs a bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to hear about your trip through Europe. You were in 4 different countries.
Yeah.
So culinary highlights.
That's up next on Cairo Radio. We're 97.3 FM on the dial. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. Wow, that was a pleasant clap. How are your madeleines? Are they warm and tasty? Are you just learning how to take a selfie?
Kind of. I've never ordered food to be delivered. I'm like old school. Yes, I'm at a radio show.
Yeah, exactly. My wife's car doesn't even have a radio in it. Like, it didn't come with a radio. She bought one of those Rivians.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't come with, maybe it doesn't come with AM radio.
Hi, Rory.
Is he
Ben
watching?
says Rory's watching the YouTube live stream.
Hi, Rory. Or should I say Hercules? We're on company property.
Sorry.
Yeah. All right, we're back here on the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio, coming to you from the beautiful kitchens of the Hot Stove Cooking School.
Yep.
At the Hotel Andra in downtown.
We're rusty.
I know, it's been a few weeks. If you want a landmark, we are above Lola, across the street from the Dahlia Bakery, right around the corner from our new restaurant Neb and Serious Pie. Got lots of stuff going on in this neighborhood. Matter
This
of
is
fact,
our corner.
We have just down the street 3 blocks, we have our new Mr. Fish restaurant.
Yeah.
And Half Shell. Our kind
Love those places.
Half Shell
Anchoring-
just turned 1.
Yep.
Mr.
Wow.
Fish has been a month. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
We have a revamped corner down there.
Beautiful.
So, trip to, I'm going to get the dog out of the way first.
Okay.
Trip to Europe, 5 weeks, lots of food, lots of cooking. We had houses everywhere that we went, so we got to cook, go to the markets and cook for ourselves. I was with a total of 4 couples, and they all love to cook. And
Perfect.
when
You
you're traveling about with 4 couples, it's more difficult to get reservations and to get
for
to a
8 people
spot.
everywhere you go.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a huge difference between 6 and 8.
Yeah, really big. And it's 2 cars, if you're in cars or in whatever you're in. Anyway, we're walking down in Sicily was our first stop after the boys golfed in Scotland. Then the ladies came over and we met them in Sicily, and they were at the house. And, in Sicily, as in what I hear about that area in general, there is a little bit of garbage in the back trails. People tend to dump things,
Okay.
both live and dead things. And so we were walking down the back trail through a gorgeous olive orchard and vineyards and all that kind of stuff. And we saw, as not unusually, a couple of mattresses just like on the side and some garbage and this. And so we're walking by, and all of a sudden we hear this, yip, 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 yip. And this little puppy comes out from under a mattress. It's no bigger than the size of a large pomelo. It looked like a black and white pomelo, it just kind of wags his tail, walks right up to Jackie and Courtney, and just rap, 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 rap. And sure enough, they're both dog nuts, and they are
Immediately, I'm
immediately
sure.
melt. So he starts to follow them. So then Courtney calls for Charlie to bring up the car. So then they bring the car. It was about a mile away from the house, so they didn't think the puppy could walk that far. Now we're back at the house with the puppy, and now we're on the phone calling vets. Let's get him a rabies shot. Let's get him this. Let's get him. It's like they don't even know this dog. We're in Sicily.
Yep.
We're on a plane, and they start calling the embassy. It's like, what can we do to
is
get this dog
important.
back to Seattle? And well, it turns out they couldn't do much. It was a 6-month wait.
Oh.
So the puppy kind of hung with us for 3 days, and all day long in the laps of somebody, literally all day long.
Yeah.
It's going to be a
That
well-behaved
puppy
dog.
had a really good 3 days.
Except for the housekeeper. She wanted nothing to do with it. Right. Anyway, so comes time to leave. We haven't been able to figure out how to get the dog. I mean, Charlie had his pilot on it. He had everything on it. Couldn't figure it out. So here's Jackie bawling at the airport leaving.
Aw.
And to head over to Portugal and then head up to Bordeaux.
To be clear, they did arrange for somebody to care for the puppy when they left. They didn't throw him
Wonderful.
back out with the mattress.
Right.
Okay. Nobody at that house wanted to take care of a puppy. I'll tell you that. Anyway, so didn't think much more about it personally. I'm sure
You
Jackie thought a
didn't.
lot about it. So the ladies leave back. We go back to Scotland to play another week of golf. And 3 days later, I get a photograph. So, welcome our new baby. She had been over in Prosser.
Yep.
A Mennonite family had 9 puppies. And
Of her
with-
breed. I mean, she loves German short hair pointers, so that's like her thing.
It's her 3rd one.
Yeah.
She had pinto bean, then fava bean, and now she has butterbean.
Butterbean.
Butterbean. So yeah, it's a classic.
So surprise!
Surprise! Yeah, exactly.
Now you have a puppy.
Yeah, and it turns out puppies are a lot like babies.
Yeah, they're a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when she was whining about it, I said,
is
"Think
there
about your
anything-
daughter taking care of twins."
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there anything cuter though than all of my babies running around with this tiny puppy and
Oh,
wrestling?
that's
It's
so cute.
I don't
It's
know.
so
I haven't seen that yet. Culinary highlights.
Okay, so you did St. Andrews, Scotland. Then you did Sicily. Then you did Lisbon area.
Yeah, it's, Cascais. Has
Okay.
anyone been to Cascais in Scotland or in Portugal?
Yeah.
How do you say it? Oh, okay. I thought people were speaking Russian, and it's Portuguese that they were speaking, because they have this hard edge on their
It's a tough language.
Yeah.
Cascais or something like that.
Then
And
you
it's
did
like the Bellevue of Lisbon.
Uh-huh.
It's like this little kind of fancy little
Suburb.
suburb of Lisbon.
Okay.
It was a
Then
29-minute
Centennial.
train ride into downtown Lisbon. Pardon me?
Then Saint-Emilion in
Then
France.
Saint-Emilion, which
Oh, I
is
love that.
literally a postcard.
Yeah.
You're staying in a postcard. You could just put a postcard on the wall and walk into it. And it's crazy.
And then back to Scotland to
Yeah.
the Glasgow
Yeah.
area.
So we're going to leave Scotland out of the mix. Let's just say the food scene
Yeah.
there. And it's not fair because we didn't go to fancy restaurants.
Yeah.
We went to one Spanish restaurant with all the boys, 12 of us. And, but
Okay, so Scotland's out. So
Scotland's
we have Italy, Portugal, and France.
Which is, I'm selling short. There's some good restaurants in the West End of Glasgow, and I'm selling it a little bit short, but I don't mean to. We just didn't hit there this time. As typical, it's so fun to shop the markets.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to just, here's the problem. We're all in our 60s or 70s at this point, and everyone goes out. There's 2 cars, and everyone goes out, and you get so excited when you see the stores and you get to the markets. And Charlie bought us a saute pan the size of my head. I mean, my shoulders and everything, because we had one at the house that we were staying, and he loved it, so he bought us all one. So you come back, and everyone's been out, 2 different cars, come back, wow, everyone's got eggplant, everyone's got peppers.
That's funny. Yeah.
Because you get so excited at the
Sure,
markets, and
yeah.
you end up, and it turned out our only vegetarian in the group doesn't like eggplant.
Oh, that's hard, especially in Sicily.
It's hard in Sicily.
Yeah.
It's the vegetable of the day in Sicily. So that and red peppers are so.
Yeah.
But we had a woman, Chef Giovanna, at our house who we could hire to make meals for us. It was kind of fun. I didn't think we were going to use her at all. We ended up using her 3 nights.
Great.
That's nice.
And then, yeah.
Did you guys alternate
But
cooking?
her eggplant parmesan was my taste of the trip.
that's
it was
great.
just delicious. And
Nice.
I will say that not much else of what she made was in that.
Good thing she's not listening.
No.
Yeah.
But it's just funny, no matter where you are, you think Sicily, all the food's going to be good. You think France, all the food must be great. It's not. They're just
We
people like
romanticize
us.
it,
And,
yeah.
and they cook in the way that their mom taught them to cook, just like we do. And so
And there's
in
good
order to be a
restaurants
great cook,
and there's
you really
medium
have to
restaurants.
practice.
And yeah.
Yeah.
What was
Don't you
special
think?
about the eggplant that was unique about it?
It was edible.
So, okay,
my God.
that's typically not your dish.
Eggplant is typically not my dish.
Okay, got it.
And it was perfectly delicious and unexpectedly good for me.
What was the best thing you made?
Well,
So
that's
many.
a hard one. There's so many. When you're over there and you're eating a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we had breakfast in the houses every morning, just little continental style breakfasts. But you're out to lunch and drinking wine, which I normally don't do during the day, and so you're just tired and you're kind of fooded out a bit because you're snacking at the markets and this and that. We made these big, beautiful salads because the produce looked so good that I really enjoyed that. And I've already made 2 since I've been home in a week.
We had one the other
Yeah,
night.
you had one the other. Everything in the kitchen sink essentially salad-wise, and so whether it
Because
was
you
just
guys were going out more for lunch because you were out
Yeah.
exploring. And so
Yeah.
then when you came home, it was like, all right,
Exactly.
nobody's hungry for a second big meal type.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, and you've already been drinking all day, and at a winery, Oki Pinti Winery was fun, and this and that. So, but I would say the surprise of the trip was that we all still liked each other after spending almost
That's nice.
5 weeks together.
That's a long time
awesome.
together.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's the first time, right?
Yeah, nobody's ever spent that much time with me and didn't hate me.
That's not true.
Even your mother. Anyway, it was a good trip, good
Good.
fun, and we'll probably get into some more details. But I've had
Yeah.
a cold since I got back,
Okay.
so I haven't.
Well,
been
we're
able
glad
to-
you're back.
Yes.
Well, thank
happy
you.
to have you back.
Tell us who's up next.
We got Chef Micah Windham from Sleeping Lady Mountain Resort in Leavenworth, Washington.
I haven't been there in 25 years, since Dorothy invited me for the opening.
Oh, wow.
Or whatever however long ago that
Wow.
was. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, me too. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Hi. Hi. Morning. How are you? Good.
Awesome. Right about. Maybe like right about there. Cool. Thank you.
I think those Madeleines are so good, so light and. How you been?
Fantastic.
Good.
Yeah. No, beautiful drive out today.
It's a long drive down there for you.
Still worth it though. It's
And
amazing.
that Everett to Seattle traffic.
It go, with the canyon, like Tumwater Canyon, and like the pass, and there's still snow on some of those mountains.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing.
Lovely.
Yeah.
How long has Dorothy been gone now? Dorothy Bullitt.
2 years.
2 years? She had me out when she was thinking about doing that to talk about, what she should do. And I think I went out one time after that for a night for a conference or something.
Yeah.
But I haven't been there since. So.
No.
Harriet Bullitt. Harriet, I'm sorry.
No, Dorothy. Yeah. Yes.
At the time, I think she still was the big owner of King 5 TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the history of the bullet
Okay.
on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, I said Harriet. Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. It's the Hot Stove Society show.
Woo!
We're right here in the kitchen. People are completely drunk. They had coffee, they had tea, they're completely out of their
Madeline's.
minds. Madeline's. Micah Windham is here. He's the executive chef of Sleeping Lady Mountain Resort in Leavenworth. Tell us about you, sir.
Tom, good morning. Welcome back. It's
Thank
great
you.
to be here. Thank you for having me out. Sleeping Lady is a beautiful, magical place. Set in the heart of the Cascades. Wenatchee Valley. The mountain peaks and everything around there are truly stunning. The animals, the wildlife are waking up from the long, winter sleep, and
Right.
the things that we're seeing out there are just, beautiful and stunning.
And you get a big old German pretzel and some speck for breakfast, right? Lots of mustard.
Oh, there's so many options out there these days with dining, with Larch and Prusik and Old World Chop House, and we have the Grotto that we're expanding at night with fresh made pizzas featuring Karen Spring Mills. Local flour, local ingredients go a long way with good food. And
Yeah.
as you mentioned, asparagus season, so we'll be highlighting everything that we can. That's just delicious.
What's your background? How did you end up there?
Well, my father grew up in Easton. My mother grew up in Burien. They're Norwegian on both sides. And, I grew up in Snoqualmie Valley myself and, loved the mountains and fishing and just on the edge of Rattlesnake Lake. And, I've loved this area since I was a kid. And, cooking and traveling and finding inspiration. And, Tom, a segue back into things is, you've been an inspiration yourself to me for years.
Well, thank you. That's kind.
And it starts with an apple dumpling at the Dahlia Bakery.
Oh my God, those were so good.
That little date butter that's
Yeah.
in there, it's just the touch that in the flaky pastry. And my mother used to love to bake, and reminds me of home. And then the charity work, growing up and working in the Seattle area in the industry for the Mayflower Park and the Salish Lodge, and working with all the chefs downtown, every charity event I was able to partake in, you were there. You were there leading it on.
We're big believers, yeah.
I'm a firm believer in it myself.
Yeah.
And, the Palace Kitchen became a hub at the end of the night for many of those things, and a lot of very strong, awesome memories. Yeah. And, I think leading into charity and leading in, down this path, one of my favorite memories of all time is meeting one of my favorite musicians. And I had tickets, and I was a banquet chef at the Mayflower Park Hotel.
Uh-huh.
And I had tickets to go see Tom Waits at the Paramount.
Oh, small change got rained on with his own 38.
Exactly.
I know Tom Waits.
Frank's Wild Years and Heart
Yeah.
Attack and Vine and, all the albums, But No, so I was so excited. And this, I had my night planned out, and we were short-handed. I had to go into work. I gave up my tickets. I think I got out of work around midnight, and I went to go drown my sorrows down at the Palace Kitchen.
Oh.
And I walked in, sat down at the bar, opened up the menu, ordered an appetizer. Thankfully, the place is open serving food that late. And then I hear this voice right next to me. I look over, and it's Tom Waits.
Wow.
I couldn't ask for a better gift.
Isn't that funny?
That's wonderful.
No, so, we closed down the bar and shared a couple of great conversations. I've always been thankful for you to have that place open.
To have a
that
late night
opportunity.
place, yeah.
Yeah.
That has changed a bit over the years. We're now only open till midnight because that business model has, there's so many.
yeah.
At one point, we were the only ones open.
Yeah.
And now there's lots of places open till midnight. So
Things have changed over the years.
yeah, it's funny how it all works about. Sleeping Lady.
Yes.
Harriet Bullitt was a friend of mine. Dorothy was also over the years. They're both, I think, gone now.
Yes, they've passed.
And I say friend loosely. I mean acquaintance, I'll say, because I've met her at King TV years ago and all the things, Seattle Today show, which I used to do in the morning and things like that. But you've got a lot of history on your hands out there at Sleeping Lady.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I first visited property probably about 22 years ago. I was snowboarding up at Stevens and stayed for 3 days, and I did not realize it, but Harriet Bullitt back then was the one that checked me in at the hotel. And we shared conversations.
Isn't that crazy?
About Gilman Village and how everything was great, and I got to know the chef over a couple of days, and then from there it was you could come work here. This would be a great place, and the owner even loves you. And like, the owner, I had no idea that I'd been talking with the owner during my stay. It was beautiful.
And then she donated to the Icicle Foundation, right, which has given like $40 million to local charities.
Over 100 charities. I
Yeah.
mean, every time you stay at the Sleeping Lady, you give back to the community. So the Sleeping Lady has become the engine for that charitable group. And so as far as like if you stay a night, use the spa, you dine at the grotto, enjoy the pool, any of those beautiful amenities there, walk through the garden. We have a giant, beautiful herb garden now that's growing, and we're beginning to feed into the private events. If you want to have like a wedding, it's one of the most beautiful places to have a wedding.
Oh, it is, indeed, yeah.
And special events, we have some, the chapel and the Snowy Owl Theater, some of the greatest, concerts, music events, and theater groups you could see out there at that theater. There's an outdoor meadow stage as well.
Huh.
And
Tell us
all
about
of that kind of gives back to the Icicle Fund.
Exactly, which the focus group is, historical education, the environment, and the arts. So crayons in kids' hands, giving back to the community as far as sustainable food programs. They're always progressive and looking for the next, great method to, contribute back to the community.
Right.
Awesome.
And I want to hear about this food forest you planted.
Oh,
What is that?
It is beautiful. So this is a long-term project.
Sure.
I mean, it's planting seedlings, things from like elderberry and ginkgo and, native plants and wild cultivating, and basically everything that is in this space in time will be bearing fruit or bark or herb or leaf or something that is sustainable and edible. So it's a walking path of everything around you has something for you in it.
That's
and
special.
It's truly amazing. And it's already had just about over a year. And, the plants are slowly coming up. This is a long-term project, but in time, generations and generations to come. I've got 4 daughters myself, and I love the idea that they could walk through that space and enjoy, the fruits of that labor.
That's sweet.
Speaking of
Awesome.
daughters, you've got a Father's Day something coming up with whiskey.
We have the Horse Soldier dinner coming up. It's bourbon. We have a Green Beret coming out to speak, so it's kind of a dinner and a show. It'll be in our chapel theater. And we've got a few tickets still left available. Be a reception when you walk in, and then up to the theater for a dinner and a conversation about it's a Green Beret. And if you've ever seen the movie with Chris Hemsworth, 12 Strong, it's a good movie. It's a great movie. But this is the real life account of that action going into Afghanistan. And, over at Ground Zero, there is an erected statue of a soldier on a horse. And when they went in, the synopsis is that they landed on ground and turf that was unknown to many people. And they wound up riding horses into battle against insurgents, against the uprising, against the Taliban. And they came out strong. They went in 12. Even the horses made it out. So a couple of the veterans that were in that action opened up a distillery. And this dinner is in support of their distillery and in remembrance of their day and what happened. So
Awesome.
it's a great, Father's Day weekend event, and we invite everybody out to partake.
How did you come up with your menu?
The menu is, so the distillery is down in the south. My father's side of the family is down in the south. I spent some time down there learning about southern cuisine, black-eyed peas, barbecue, all of that kind of good thing. And, so we're basing off of brisket and bacon and chocolate and all the southern flavors that would do well with our local ingredients.
I don't know any dads that would love that.
Brisket, bacon, chocolate, whiskey. We're in.
Party, Garth! Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the KP dinner is similar in nature or different?
A little bit different. So if you were to imagine Beauty and the Beast, and you go into that big dining scene that is, that kind of highlight where the big dance number comes in, and you see all of that beautiful food laid out on the table, that dinner and that concept is built off of what a Georgian KP is. And so it's, you walk in and there's this big grand feast, and there is
Georgia, the country, by the way.
Exact, Georgia,
Yeah.
the Republic of Georgia.
Yeah.
And the whole theme is built around a toast and a celebration of life and community. It brings people together in a way I've never seen before. And there's the person that leads the event is called a tamada. They're like a toastmaster, and they guide the conversation through the evening and open the conversation up to the table. And it's just all about sharing and enjoying some of the best fruits of life.
Boy, that sounds fun. How do you get a ticket for that?
Open through Open Table. If you call,
okay.
also through our host stand up at Kingfisher, we can operate
right.
all of that.
And what's kind of cool about KP dinners is you may not know the people around you, but it's really an invitation to talk, right? It's so communal and the toasting and.
Oh, no, absolutely. The toasts range from memories that might, be, with family or memories of travel and trip. And it's the conversation opens up and allows people to share things that are just truly amazing and, fun to talk about, like food.
Like food.
Like
Yeah,
food.
exactly. And I think, seminal dinners like that, one of the things that I found interesting on my trip is that the three other men on the trip, and ladies, but the three other men in particular, are all YPOers that are now OPOers, old professionals, right?
Yeah.
But their camaraderie is really contagious, and how they speak to each other and how they toast each other and celebrate each other is really, I find, crazy. It's not how I grew up with men. And so just what you just said, it reminded me of that celebration of friendship and people around the table is super cool.
We open it up with breaking bread, usually around a khachapuri, which is it's a lot like a pizza in a way. It has cheese and an egg yolk in the middle, and you break the bread and dip it in the egg yolk, and you're off to another level. And then this dinner itself, we're featuring with Goose Ridge Wines, and the winemaker will be out there discussing, process and some of the, just delicious juice.
Yeah.
So to find those, you go to sleepinglady.com.
Absolutely.
And we've got a lucky audience member who's going to win a drawing for $200 to the Sleeping Lady.
Oh, really?
Yes. So thank you, Chef.
When are we
Michael.
doing that?
We're doing that right after. He's going to draw right after the break.
Oh, okay, right after the break. Is my name in there?
Yeah, I know. Can I draw?
I'm in the audience. I watch you. Well, great. Micah Windham has been our guest, and congratulations on your efforts, and good luck in the future. And those four
can't wait to
daughters.
visit.
I only have one daughter. I don't know how you did four. That's all I got to say about that.
But I can't wait to
big
go.
love, honey.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Love you.
On Cairo Radio, you're listening to us on 97.3 FM on the FM dial. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Everybody's names in there? Everybody's names in there. All right. Aw.
Fine.
Oh.
In case you're wondering, when you look at your fried egg, this is how I asked them to do it. This isn't like an overcooked
Perfect.
egg. I love that crispy edge. But what else do you get on the top? A nice runny yolk. So I just don't like a undercooked white. You have to use fat, and then we use bacon fat and butter.
And you need to let it get hot
Hot.
before you
So
crack
that it-
your egg into it, so that when the whites hit it, they have time.
To me, and I don't know if yours is the same as mine, but this is the perfect egg. Round bottom, runny top.
Love the bacon, fat, and butter combo. It's so good.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
All right. We have the raffle here. About ready to announce the name of the lucky winner of the $200 and anything you could imagine to spend it on at the Sleeping Lady Mountain Resort. And we'd be excited to have you. And anyone that doesn't win is also invited to come out and say hi. All right. Here we go. Shuffle it around a little bit. Okay. And the lucky winner is... Is that...
Someone has my.
Debbie Rochva. Congratulations.
Well, you know what? She's a birthday girl. She's here for her birthday, and she's
Happy
also
birthday.
celebrating.
That's fantastic.
And they're celebrating a 90th birthday right next door.
Wow, what a coinkydink.
Happy
Yeah.
birthday. That's great. I'm going to hand this.
Great. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah, have you been there? Yeah. Congratulations. Go again.
Got it. Oh yeah, of course. Oh,
Gin or vodka? Oh, I don't know if I can talk to you anymore. Good. You hear that? She's loving this place. No, let's do that again.
Okay, ready?
Sleeping lady, come see him.
Thanks, Tom.
It's delicious.
yes. Oh, sorry. Never mind. Yes. And I.
If anybody wants to know about our mushroom gravy, we use our little mushroom powder helper in our gravy. It's a porcini mushroom powder,
Secret ingredient.
secret ingredient. Hey, Micah, why don't you come in and sit in for the next, you have a minute? Yeah, come sit in for this. We're going to build a Memorial Day picnic menu. Maybe you have some fresh ideas. All right, we're back here. Everyone is eating away. They all got quiet. How is your breakfast? Pretty tasty? Yeah? Good. It had a visit by the gravy god. Just say that. I didn't make the gravy today, but I used my secret ingredient.
Yes, mushroom rib.
We've invited Micah to come back and help us through this next segment because it is with great joy that I make a Memorial Day menu and have some input from somebody else because apparently I am cooking on Monday for the group.
For the whole fam.
For the whole
What are you
fam.
going to make us?
Well, I bought the ribs yesterday. They were on sale at the grocery store, so I bought them.
Great.
Baby back ribs. But I have no other plans.
Okay.
So tell Micah, if you would, if you're coming for dinner with your Rugrats,
Yes.
and tell them outside of the ribs, 'cause
Okay.
I've already, we're using my barbecue sauce too. So
Okay, so we're doing barbecue
we're
ribs,
going
not
more
hoisin.
yeah, we're doing more
Okay.
Western, not Asian.
Okay.
Tell him what your some dream ingredients that he could work with.
Well, we have to do asparagus because we're nearing the end of our short window of asparagus.
Uh-huh.
So we need asparagus. We need a carb
choice.
for my children. Like they only eat carbs, so
Can it be fussy or just simple?
it can be fussy. I mean, they'll eat fussy carbs.
Will they eat macaroni salad, for example, or potato
I don't
salad?
know. I don't know if they would eat it cold.
Okay.
Cold noodles. but maybe
Macaroni and cheese is usually a favorite.
mac and cheese.
Yeah, and that's a
They-
that's a
that
family
they would
favorite.
eat. And what else? And then I like a fresh salad type thing. We're not quite into corn, or I would say corn on the cob for sure,
It's too early for corn.
but it's too early.
Can I ask one question? Health. Any doctors in the audience? Because every time I talk about mac and cheese, it gives me a heart attack wannabe. All of our children are growing up eating mac and cheese. Isn't it a problem?
I mean,
Well-
we do have an obesity epidemic in the U.S., so survey says yes. I think.
Okay, going back to it. Okay, we're building a Memorial Day menu. We know we're having ancho molasses barbecue pork ribs.
Ooh.
Okay, so where are you going
What
next,
else?
Micah?
You know, I mean, based around having, kids and adults, there's got to be a little bit of something for everyone. And, watermelon is just starting to come in. Tomatoes are, still a little greenhouse, but still looking all right. I would look at doing a watermelon salad, maybe with some feta and maybe a little bit of mint or maybe a little bit of basil, but really focus on the cheese and the melon. Asparagus, I would roast it, a little bit of brown butter and hazelnuts. Some Washington hazelnuts would be delicious on there.
Yeah.
And then, some charred cabbage. I think like some red cabbage charred up, with a little seasoning, maybe a little bit of garlic.
Do you serve that room temp when you char cabbage like that?
I think it's delicious. It's a lot
Either way,
like
yeah.
Chinese food. Like it eats well cold, hot, or in the middle of the night, any time of day. It just
well, we know where your passion lies.
that's one of those things that just it's great for snacking.
Yeah.
But usually I find like with the kids like purple vegetables, white mac and cheese, maybe it's orchetti or like a good elbow pasta. As long as there's enough sauce to go around, they're pretty happy with it.
I like the idea of a little orecchiette something in there. I love that shape. You also have those. You have the orecchiette you love, but what are is it spelt or buckwheat? The other gray ones, blue gray
Yeah,
ones
those
that you
are
have?
from Chef's Shop originally, but she doesn't carry that brand anymore. Your husband got me those for Christmas a couple years ago. It's usually buckwheat is
Buckwheat,
typical
okay.
for that darker gray brown pasta. Yeah.
Do we have any spring peas yet?
I just finished your mother's peas from, she has
From
a
last
lock
year,
and
though,
key on
right?
them
Yeah, I
in
know.
the
She keeps
freezer
them under.
until she says it's okay. And when the peas get in the ground, the plants get in the ground for this year, then it's okay to finish last year's. But
So now there's
it's
this
like a
window
safety. Yeah, it's a safety net for her to have the peas in the freezer.
She
like,
needs to know
Oh
she
my
mu-
God, I
she's
still
gonna
have
be able to
peas."
have
Yeah,
peas.
exactly.
Some
She
butter
is
peas and
weird.
bacon would be delicious.
Yeah.
Peas with
Little
bacon.
orecchiette,
Oh, yeah,
pea,
absolutely.
Yep.
bacon, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Years ago, the people that owned Cutters got well known for their pea salad. It was just frozen peas in a little mayonnaise dressing, always cold. Do you remember that salad?
No, I do.
Yeah.
Very well. Yeah.
And it was, I think might have had bacon in it too, but some sort of cheese, pea salad, cheese, blah, blah, blah. I put that in my trashy good category. Because I love peas. But the whole cold cheese thing and cold bacon thing is pretty trashy because it's all bound together with cold mayonnaise.
No, absolutely.
I heard that we had amazing pea salad for family meal at the warehouse the other day.
Well, that
Maybe
could
we
be.
should get JB's recipe for.
Yeah, there was a lot of grated cheese in that
Okay.
salad. I ate a big bowl of it.
What kind of cheese?
It's just out of a bag from the grocer, like grated
Oh.
Tillamook cheddar or something
Okay,
like that. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Well, you shouldn't have missed it. It was staff meal. Our accounting diva, Adriana, her
Oh,
husband
yes.
does brisket in his home smoker,
Oh, wow.
and he sent in a brisket that was just moist and delicious.
I mean,
and
he has like a commercial size smoker in their
Yeah.
front lawn that he
Wow.
does. He can
he's
do like,
commercial size. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he is good at brisket.
Yeah, and he's good at brisket, and it was super tasty. When you're getting brisket, when you see it around and it's whatever, you got to go for the nose, in my opinion.
Okay,
That's
and
the
you're-
stuff that's the most marbled part of the brisket.
And you're showing with your fingers about a 4 or 5 inch?
It's about a 4-inch gap
Okay.
or height.
Okay.
Whereas the flat of the brisket is more like 1 to 1.5 inches
Okay.
of height, and the nose is where all the fat is. So most people I know, like my daughter, is scared of meat fat. And I just go right for it. So I need people like her to kind of eschew the meat fat. It's true. Don't even try
I'm
and get
not
out of this.
scared. I do not enjoy the texture of the fat, like the fat cap on a New York or on a steak or something like that. I don't. enjoy chewing that texture. I'm not scared
Well, you know
of
why?
like,
It's not the
a
fat, it's the gristle
well-marbled
between.
piece of meat is
Yeah.
delightful. They're different things.
I would agree, but I don't eat the rind of the New York either, like the
Yeah.
fat rind. But it's got a layer of sinew in between the meat and the fat, and that's the
Okay.
bad chew part, because the fat just melts.
Okay.
But in the brisket, you don't get that gristle. You get that delicious melting.
No, it
fat.
should. If it's done right, it should melt.
Yeah.
And not be like a gummy kind of texture. It should, like butter, it should just melt if it's
Right.
like cooked long enough. And then all the trim, like if that goes towards a chili, I think that's going to be
That's
a
pretty good.
pretty good bowl
Yeah.
of magic there.
The chili, if it's made, if you're out on a Memorial Day picnic, if by chance it's possible, a reheat on like a Golden Gardens grill or in a bean pot over a campfire is really a simple way to have a good supper.
No, absolutely.
So if you're like me and I would be a little nervous to make a rack of baby back ribs
Uh-huh.
on the grill, where do you start?
So
Hot fire, low fire?
low fire, always you start, in my opinion. But to me, it's even before that. For example, I was at the store. They had these baby back ribs on sale. And you'll notice, did you give me you'll notice that I just lifted them up and I said, these are too heavy. These are too heavy for me. And I looked at them and they're trim spec. In the meat department, you have a spec. And it might be like the Ballard Market meat spec might be 1/4 inch fat trim on a New York steak, and that's what the butchers are told to trim to. And that's your spec. So on a baby back rib spec, they kept all the loin meat on the loin because that's what sold for more money. Okay. Now on a baby back rib, they take some of that loin meat off with the rib rack because the ribs sell for more money. They're getting $6.99 for ribs. And you're only getting $3.99 for the loin. So the
Okay.
more loin they leave on the ribs, the more money they get for that. And it's too heavy. And the problem is when you cook it up, they're not marbled, right? The meat in between the ribs is really marbled. That's why it's so delicious. But when that strip of loin is left on the rack, it just dries out and is gross.
Okay.
So I looked for the lighter ribs, oddly enough, because that means there's less loin cut on the spec.
Okay.
And it's just a weird little idiosyncrasy, but that's just the way of the world. Looking for a way to make more.
And Mike is
more
shaking
margin.
his head.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely. Absolutely. No, that I've caught that myself. Like, that connective tissue, like in a chuck roast, if you're doing like a braise or a Yankee pot roast or anything like that, that more tender braise is going to be in that tougher meat.
Yeah.
And as, things have changed, like, you look at those cuts and what extra other parts are added onto that cut to make the difference in that weight.
Right.
So if you're looking for the connective tissue and you're looking for that marbling, just focus on that. The overall weight is not where it's at.
Yeah, it's.
So then really quick, like you've bought your ribs. It's Friday, Memorial Day Monday. Are you unwrapping them, drying them, rubbing them, putting them in your what do you do to prepare them for your picnic?
I don't rub them too far in advance because then you're curing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I take them out of the cryovac and let them bloom.
Okay.
And just get rid of some of that odor that the cryovac encases into the ribs.
Okay.
On a cookie sheet, leave them in the fridge, and then right before I'm ready, I just sprinkle a little salt and pepper or rub, depending on where I'm going with my saucing.
Okay.
And pop them on a low and slow grill. And then your mother likes, and I do too, at the end, I'll build the fire back up and caramelize the sauce onto them.
Okay.
Not everyone likes that. A lot of people just like that smoked rib and then the sauce is on the side. But for baby backs, that's what I do with spare ribs.
Yeah.
But for baby backs, I like to caramelize them.
Okay.
And frankly, a baby back can be done in 45 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Spare
not
ribs,
an all day
so much. No.
process.
You guys
Okay.
might have
sounds
some people
delicious.
crashing your party.
Who's coming? Who's coming on Monday? Come on. Thank you, Micah. That was sweet of you to jump in on our Memorial Day picnic.
Oh, happy to.
All right, Eliza Ward is here next on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. if we don't get covered what I want to get covered, then
Okay.
Okay.
Becky.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
All three of my kids now, whenever we have parm on the table to like grate on pasta, they just scream until we start cutting chunks off. Annie.
Well, hopefully they'll like this.
Really? Why are you being so nice?
I'm always nice.
Oh, come on.
Always, always, always nice.
Okay, so here's a question. Why would you
Why would you do it to Parmesan? What's better, the vinegar? See, here's, okay. Well, the parm has the bitter and umami and the fat, right? And then you're adding the sweet and the salty, and then you're adding the sweet and the tangy, and so it makes like a complete taste treat. But it depends on the quality of food. It's like good wine and bad food, or good food and bad wine. Like you gotta have the right parm and the right balsamic.
You're welcome to get up.
Okay, thank you.
I've never seen it over there.
Parmigiano Reggiano, right? Comes from Parma and Reggio Emilia, right? Where parm, and that's also where balsamic comes from. So it's natural that traditionally that's what they would do. I believe so.
I've never seen that there.
Really? Maybe because they're too. I mean, I remember when you weren't at that event, but you know, what's her name? Pamela Shelton John came once when she did her artisan book like 20 years ago.
Who did?
Pamela Shelton John. So she wrote this book called Italian Artisans. She got money from the Italian Artisans. She basically she's an American Israeli writer. And she came to Chester and she brought a parm people. She had Rusticella with her. Rusticella was Rizzo with her, and she had somebody else. I can't remember who that is. He was a balsamic maker.
Uh-huh.
And they chopped up a whole eighth of a wheel or whatever it was, chopped it all up and poured a whole red seal on it.
Really?
Ate it, yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't occur to me. No. All right, we're back here in the kitchens. I told you we might have a few taste treats for you today. And so we do. Eliza Ward is here. She's the owner of Chef Shop
Hello.
with your husband, Tim. Is that right? Are you guys
Tim?
still hitched?
Are we still hitched? Define hitched. We're still married.
Yes, that's hitched.
Okay.
Okay. I just was giving you the opportunity to be single on the air. And
Well, there's all sorts of kinds of marriages out there.
over at 1425 Elliott Avenue West, I am disappointed you have taken your yellow down.
That was not me. That was my landlord. I had no choice. I
Really?
fought, and it lasted about 18 months, and then he gave me no choice.
Really?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
what makes
whole-
me a little harder to find.
Yes, it does. Your whole shop was painted this bright yellow, and it made it that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It's a
'Cause
beacon.
it's at a busy intersection, and you could drive by with and not realize it really
Right, and
quickly.
then when people drive by, they go, "Ooh, what's that?"
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so just going to put in my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. I'll
Eliza-
pass it on.
Liza, your shop has lots and lots and lots of things like vinegars and olive oils, but you also, I think, unexpectedly head down the fresh aisle a bit sometimes. Like with
Sometimes.
your cherry program.
Yep.
I don't know what else lives in that world for you guys.
Cherries, and we have a cheese program. We do Parmigiano mostly, and then we do a Beaufort at Christmas time, Di Montagna or Beaufort.
What is that? I
It's a
don't know
French-
that.
It's a French cheese. It comes on the
Okay.
French side of the Swiss Alps. And we do, what else was fresh do we do? We do garlic.
Oh, you do garlic.
We do garlic. We used to do reed avocados, but we lost those when,
Well, you also do it at the holiday season, a big
Panettone,
panettone
That's
mix
fun.
And in
mashup.
fact, right now we are trying to help move some colomba that we have left over. So if anybody wants to log on to Too Good to Go, I don't know if you're familiar with them. We have some nice colomba that we're trying to move out for one of our vendors that got their shipment after Easter.
After Easter,
Yeah.
Oh no.
So they're like, help. And I'm like, okay, we'll try.
we'll try. That bread lasts forever. In a funny
It
way.
does.
Yeah.
It's good for a while.
Speaking of lasting forever, can I just interject here that Arthur Rubenfeld, who owns Essential Bakery, or at least did, I don't know if he still does or not, but for years has owned it. He forced me to buy one of his gassed breads that come in the pack. You know what I'm talking about? There's no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a gas,
And,
like a gas pack, vacuum sealed,
yeah.
basically.
He said this will last forever, and I just shook my head, saying, "Come
No
on,
way,
buddy."
right?
So I found a loaf in my cabinet the other day when I was looking for peanut butter. I have it in the garage.
Your backup.
2017 Best Buy date. 2017.
And
So I
When are you
followed
gonna
directions.
test it?
I did it. I did it the
you
other
did?
night.
Okay.
Had a baker coming over for dinner, and I did it. 2017 pull date. In the oven for 14 minutes at 425. It was the bomb.
yeah.
Was it?
It's a
It
sour.
was.
It must be sourdough.
I don't know what the hell it is. It's. I mean, it wasn't like going to a bakery fresh, but it was
was
certainly
still good.
edible.
It was certainly edible.
Yeah.
Yes, and surprising for being 9 years old.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
wasn't
math,
the
math.
bomb. I
That
mean,
was
Well,
Yeah.
of course it wasn't the bomb.
Okay. I'm
But
just
anyway, let's get back to
hyperbole.
Parmesan and Reggiano.
Okay.
Eliza's like, please.
Please.
I can talk about anything.
Yeah, I
The
know you
king
can.
of cheese.
I've been to Parma. My takeaways from Parma and visiting a Reggiano producer, a little farm that for breakfast we had a bottle of Lambrusco, some of his salami, and a big piece of Reggiano at 8 in the morning. And it was
What
the
season?
bomb. It was the real bomb.
That is
I was on my
exact-
lips when I got out of there.
Yeah. Well, Lambrusco first thing in the morning.
But the cows were so beautiful. It
Yeah.
takes like 700 gallons
up-
of milk to make a 70-pound wheel.
Were you up in the mountains?
I don't remember.
You don't remember? It was,
He was on his lips, Eliza.
where were you, Tom?
Yeah.
I'm
I was
surprised
with
you
Faith
remember
Heller.
Sicily.
You know Faith Heller Willinger.
Yes.
You've met her. I was with her and the Consortium de Parma.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So the consortio is very important for a lot of these traditional foods all over Italy. And there's one for Parmigiano, like you just mentioned, which really helps maintain a certain standard level more than anything else and helps the Parmigiano region and the dairies and the cheese, the people involved in the cheese industry there expand their markets. They do a very good job. But what they're very focused sort of on the bigger market and eliminating the bad makers. That's really their number one focus. What they don't do a lot of time on is promoting the difference between the dairies. So there's a big difference in terms of flavor and texture that you're going to get between, for example, a valley cheese, which is where probably, 75 or 80% of the production comes from, and the mountain cheeses. And we only sell mountain cheeses because of that flavor distinction. So the consortio that Faith is involved with is more focused on consistency and consistently good quality, but not so much on variability, which is what you get with mountain cheeses and seasonality.
Huh.
So what you're eating today is a winter cheese, what I would consider a winter parm, which means it was manufactured, produced in the wintertime when the mountain cows are eating more hay. So it's a much creamier cheese than a traditional, typical, Parmigiano. It's much creamier, it's much higher fat, and it's much milder. So it's perfect for the application we're doing today, which is drizzling it with a little bit of Traditionale. I opened a red seal for you, Tom and Loretta. Which I don't know if you remember a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Marcella bringing Traditionale, Balsamico Traditionale to America. This is what she was talking about. But when I talk about that, the first question I always get is, well, what do you do with that? And then you say, you can, it's like $100 a bottle or something like that.
Right.
And so you're like,
Oh, wow.
you can put it on strawberries, or you can put it on ice cream, you can put it on parm. And when you get to the parm, people look at you like, what?
I looked at you that very same way.
Well, I think though that a lot of people don't understand that there's different flavors of parm if you look deeply into the parm industry, like looking at the mountain cheeses, right? So typically I went to the grocery store yesterday and went to 3 grocery stores actually and picked up parm and tasted them just because I just wanted to feel good about my parm. And typically what you're going to get is the Valley parms. The better grocery stores have 24-month parms, which is good, as opposed to a 12-month parm, which is sort of the youngest that you're going to generally see.
I thought for Reggiano, I thought 18 was the youngest. Is it 12?
I think they can release them at 12. 18 is fairly typical.
18 months,
24 is the higher quality. And then actually the one we have today is a Stravecchio, which is a 36-month.
Right.
Which I don't, for a winter parm, in this application, a 24-month actually might be better. Because as the cheese ages, which is part of where the flavor comes from, it does get a little bit deeper
drier.
in flavor, a little more concentrated, more crystal, more of those calcium lactate crystals show up. So the texture changes, it gets a little less
To
creamy.
me, that's the best part. When you can get the parm with the Stravecchio with the little crunchy crystals
Yeah.
inside, once I had that, I felt like there was no reason to eat other parm. Like, you need the parm with the crystals.
Yeah. So for this application, it makes a lot of sense because you have a creamier winter milk. So the winter milk, the flavor of parm is going to come from a bunch of different things, like the breed of cow. It has some impact. It comes from the flavor of the milk, right? So the
Right.
flavor of the parm, 80% of it's going to come from the flavor of the milk, and the flavor of the milk is going to be impacted by the variety of the cow, right? It's going to be impacted by whether the season. So winter cows are going to eat more hay. Summer cows are going to eat more green
Grass,
grasses
yeah.
if they're up in the mountains. And then spring is kind of in between, where a lot of those new green shoots come out, and you get a lot of fresh, wild herbs and
See, that's what
onion.
I thought would be the best tasting would be spring milk.
Some people like that best.
Okay.
I mean, it really just depends.
I mean, I
right?
don't know. I've not
in the,
tried.
in, so the winter, you're going to get the creamier. So because they're eating more hay, you're going to get a higher fat content. You're going to get a more mild milk, and you're going to end up with a more mild cheese. And then the other thing that is going to impact is how long it's been aged, like 24-month versus a 36-month. And a huge impact is when the cheese has actually been cut. So
cut and then cryovac, like at Costco, it's all cryovac, right?
exactly.
Cut and cryovac.
So
yeah.
you don't know how long. So our program, we sell it in these mostly in these 2.5 pound wedges, and we get the cheese in, we cut it, we ship it. For the most part, it's all pre-order. Although now I bought an extra wheel, because I love winter's my favorite. So I finally bit the bullet and decided I'm going to get 2 wheels instead of 1.
Give somebody an idea what kind of investment that is.
That's a couple $1,000
Couple
per wheel.
$1,000 per wheel.
So I decided, the other reason was completely selfish, which is we kept overselling our wheels, and then I never got any at home. And so I'm like, I'm done. I need my parm. So we brought in 2 wheels this time of the winter parm because it's one of my faves. And so now we have an extra half wheel that I'm going to cut up in smaller pieces because 2.5
That's nice.
pounds is kind of an investment for a lot of people at home. And so starting tomorrow, I'll have smaller, like 1/2 to 1 pound pieces available in the store that people can buy by weight, as opposed to like getting a huge wedge.
And how long do you think that will last at Chef Shop?
Well, we continue to sell online the 2.5 pound wedges, so it's going to be a fight between my store customers and my online customers.
Okay.
So we should have it this weekend and then next weekend. Yeah.
So let's go back to parm for 1 second in the grocery store compared to a specialty shop like your own.
Okay.
Like when you shop at Costco, you can find Reggiano parm and you can find Stravecchio, but you have necessarily no provenance on that cheese. Like you really have a provenance
Right.
on the cheese
So like
itself.
this cheese comes from Dairy 999.
Right. And you can
And
see
it's-
that because on a grading system, to
Yeah.
get that dairy on there, that number on there, it has to be a certain quality.
Exactly. Or you can actually look up the information on the dairy where they're located, which is our biggest thing. You may be able to, in some cases, look at the dairy and see what their mix of cows is. You can see on the outside of the parm what the year is and what the month is. What the biggest thing though with Costco, I think they probably get decent cheese. They're getting real Parmigiano Reggiano, undoubtedly. They're probably getting a Valley cheese because they're trying to get the less expensive.
Sure.
Because it just costs more money to get you a winter cheese, and it takes some purposeful thinking and knowing what you're doing. So, but the biggest thing is you don't know how long it's been cut. So you're getting pieces about this size, maybe, or bigger.
So that's about
This came from Whole Foods.
8
So
or 10 ounces.
this is actually it broke in half, but this is typically what you're getting in the grocery store. But
Right.
the problem is, like when I I shouldn't say this. When I opened it, there was mold underneath the label, which mold is not a big deal. You can just scrape it off, but it tells you that it's been sitting out for a long time.
Right.
And so the longer it sits, the harder it gets. You're not going to be able to do this application with it because you're not going to want to put it. It's too hard
Right.
and too dry to put in your
It
mouth.
becomes just a grating cheese.
Exactly. It
Basically.
becomes just a
Okay.
grating cheese and not so much an eating cheese. So
Right.
getting an eating parm is the part that takes effort.
I feel like people really overlook parm on their cheese tray. Like people think of it only as what you grate over, your
agree.
pasta. But I feel like it's rare to see a piece of parm on a cheese tray. And to me, this is like the thing I want most on my cheese tray.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
delicious.
And it's don't ever slice it in cubes, please. Just do me a little favor and just get a little knife wedge out and get yourself a chunk.
Yeah, I wedged it
Kind
this
of
morning.
cracks apart.
Exactly. I just kind of took my parm knife because I have parm knives, and I just kind of chunked off pieces.
Yeah, that's really the key. We're going to come back in a little bit and talk about how to eat parm, whether or not it should have that lovely vinegar on it, and then talk about the flavor profile. Because to me, I'm more interested in hearing more about the spring milk. You've talked a little bit about the winter milk, and the valley and the mountain thing is news to me. So.
Okay.
And also the provenance, like the area of Parmesan. 95% of Parm that's sold in the world is not from Parmesan, not from Parma.
No. No.
It's
Well,
Reggianito from Argentina. It's not really Parmesan, is the point. In order for it to be called Parmesan Reggiano, it has to be from a certain area.
exactly.
And then I want to talk about testing every wheel, which I find amazing to me. So on Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. So I have read, and I'll say this on the air, that the consortium test every wheel. This core test. Do you believe it? Every wheel? Okay, let's go back. We are back in the kitchen on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. And we're back with Liza for the second hour. We were going to talk asparagus, but I'm fascinated by Parmigiano Reggiano. And we were talking a little bit in the break about the intensity of testing of the cheeses as they come out, and so that they can be graded, right?
Yep. It's a grading process,
'Cause-
and just to make sure there's no flaws or problems with it.
Right. So at Chef Shop, you have you're doing this mountain cheese, and it's got a date, and it's got a farm, and a farm name
Dairy,
on it, the dairy number on it. So that's top of the top, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean,
I am sure. I read all about it. So
I look at all the markings. The different makers put different other things on there, but you can tell, you can tell by the outside of the cheese. I don't know if the pieces I gave you have the outside rind on it or just the bottom rind, but it has a very specific. Yours does, Tom. You can see.
yeah, I
it
know,
says,
but a lot of the Reggiano Parmesan has this little polka dot kind of name on it, but it doesn't. It's not necessarily the only
same
thing you
quality.
should be know for.
yeah, and I'm
How
sure
do
there's
you
a
know
whole.
that the Dairy 999 is better than Dairy 998?
So I work with an importer here, a small importer of cheese, and I tell him my specifications that I want a mountain cheese. I want a particular time in terms
Right.
of month for the milk, because I'm either going to buy it, because the way our cheese program works is we sell it by season. So we have a winter cutting, we have a spring cutting, and a summer cutting. So I specifically, you have to order the cheese approximately 3 months before you want it. So
It's got to travel the ocean blue.
exactly. So I specify that, and then he works with brokers in Italy to get the quality that I want, the fact that it's a mountain cheese, and the fact and the month.
Okay.
And so he books that 3 months in advance for me. So I'll book now when I get my spring in. When I get my winter in, which I just got in, I'll book my spring with
Right.
him.
Okay.
So Loretta, to answer the question in a little bit different way, my understanding is the consortium tests every wheel. They literally do a core sample on every wheel. That's a lot of core samples.
That is, but it's the dairy. It's the. I don't know how. I mean, it's the same like the FDA here. I mean, they probably have I don't know what their setup structure is.
I bet it's not the same.
I don't know exactly what the
I've been
structure is,
in the
but-
aging rooms of Parmesan.
Oh, they're
and
huge.
in the aging rooms, the prosciutto, and they're in
huge.
there. Yeah.
I don't know how
huge,
often they do
massive.
that core test, though. I think
Once a year.
once a year
Yeah,
per
is
cheese.
what I've understood. But to your point, not every wheel, is my understanding, has a farm number on it. Because there's commodity Reggiano
Right.
Parmigiano, like there's
Yeah, I
commodity
assumed
grape
it was
juice,
like
right?
DOCG, like what you see
DOP.
with
DOP is-
DOP. Sorry,
Yeah.
That's
like
on this particular.
Yeah.
DOCG is a wine category.
no, that's what I'm.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I mean. That's what I was assuming it was like. Is like
Yeah.
the wine category where they're aggregating juice from different producers to produce a standardized
Exactly.
Yeah, but,
Barbaresco. Do they do that with cheese? They aggregate milk and they.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a certification process for the dairies, and some dairies make the cheese and age the cheese. Some dairies make the cheese and then pass it off to an aging house. So it
Right.
just depends.
I mean, it's literally like a small farm you might drive by in eastern Washington. Well, there's no small farms out there anymore, it seems like, but it's just a small farm. And they might have 200 or 300 cows, max. Beautiful white. I don't know the name of these cows, but and then literally 700 gallons of milk to make one wheel of cheese, and they might make 70 wheels a day,
Yeah.
or something of that nature. These are small farms, so for that farmer to go out and try and sell that cheese individually is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's hard to do, right? So,
Right. I think traditionally they would have, but now there's a whole system set up to help them.
Right.
And they make the cheese and they get it to a certain, they have to, the process is very specific, defined by the consortium, the DOP, that it can be, where it can be made and what the breed of cow and all that stuff, how the milk is blended and milked and all that stuff. And then it gets, for those small dairies, if they don't have the facility, they pass them off to a certified aging house to
right,
hold
which
the
is
cheese.
where I'm saying is that there's different grades even of Reggiano.
Yeah.
When it does get a farm name and a date, I think you're at your top of the pile.
I would say so.
Let's talk about how to taste Reggiano. So you've got a chunk in front of us. I've already said that in my house you don't slice Reggiano. You wedge it. You use a little wedging knife, and they make special little knives. But you can do it with anything. You can do it with
can
a
do it with
fork
any-
if you
yes.
wanted to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, or
But
butter knife.
so then, if you're tasting them against each other, what are you looking for?
Like I did a tasting against the store-bought ones I did yesterday
Uh-huh.
and mine. A lot of it's going to be it's texture, it's the amount of flavor that you're getting and the type of flavor depending on the season. Like I could tell that this one, for example, that I'm holding that I got from Whole Foods, this is a traditional Valley 24-month DOP cheese. It's fairly typical. You can tell by the color. Mm-hmm. You can kind of tell by the amount of crystals that are in there, although that's going to vary. That's a 24-month cheese. Sometimes that helps. It depends, though. The seasons are different.
Right.
And the concentration of, calcium lactate and proteins and stuff are going to be different. Like a winter cheese is higher in fat, lower in proteins. You're going to get a different amount of crystals. The age is going to impact that. And then you're just like, really, literally, does it taste like anything is the
Right.
biggest thing, right? And then the bitterness, how much bitter comes through. It's a little bit apples to oranges because I don't know I know this is a 24-month because it's set it on the label, but I don't know what season it is.
And Stravecchio is 36 months or older, right?
Yeah. So I know this is a 24-month compared to my 36-month winter. So it's a little bit hard. It's a little apples to oranges because I don't know what.
So here's one more
but
thing that I would
dryness-
suggest as a way to buy this, which is in a store that's cutting from a whole wheel, to me is better than buying something in cryovac that's been maybe cryovac for a year or longer.
Yep.
And because you have to literally take the cryovac. So cryovac is a vacuum pack. You have to take it off and let it air out because it tastes like plastic if you don't.
Right. The other
Because it's literally been done in hot plastic.
Right, and the hot plastic, one of the problems with it is you have to heat up the plastic. You have to heat up the cheese in order to get the cryovac to work, just a little bit, and that
interesting.
also impacts the flavor of the cheese. So you're either using a hot plate, like they do it in the store, they might wrap it and put it on a hot plate, but then you're still
But that's
impacting
just
the
a
cheese.
second or two. That's just get the
but it still impacts the cheese. But mostly it's about the surface area because it's a small piece,
Right.
and how long it's been sitting out, and how much, because those volatiles it dries out, so it becomes
Right.
only a grating cheese, and the volatile, flavors and stuff will come out of the cheese over time too.
So here's another thing that I would say about buying Reggiano is when you're buying it, especially in a cheese shop like yours, that's cutting to order or is cutting from a whole wheel. It's a big wheel.
It is a huge wheel.
And there's sometimes you can get pieces that have a little less rind than other pieces because around the outside of the wheel it's not necessarily super edible other than grating to the edge, but it's good for soup or, dropping it into like a chicken stock or something.
Exactly.
But if you can get a chunk with a nice center piece of cheese on it with a little bit of rind, you're days ahead dollar-wise.
Yeah. I gave you the one with the most rind.
And does it freeze well? So
Just
if we
happened to be.
If we wanted to do a taste test, like if we wanted to get the winter and then the spring, would you cryovac it yourself, freeze it, and then do a taste? Would it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't lose much.
The cheese is not impacted so much by freezing because it has a very low water content. So it's not going to really change the texture of the cheese, which is always what you're worried about. So you can do that. Age will impact it a little bit. Being in the freezer helps because being in something like
Airtight.
plastic so that you're not losing those volatiles. But also it's the outside that's going to get hard. And once that hardens, it kind of protects the inside.
Okay.
All right, take 30 seconds. You brought this really fancy vinegar. Tell me your theory about pouring vinegar over top of the Reggiano.
Well, it's traditional. We were talking about that, right? But the other, and it makes sense because this is a red seal from Reggio Emilia. This is a Parm from Parma or from Reggio Emilia, actually, also, and so they kind of go together. But to me, it's like the cheese has a salty umami flavor component, Parmesan flavor component, and the vinegar has the sweet and sour component. So you're kind of putting it all together, and there's a little bit of bitterness there, maybe in the cheese as well. And you're putting it all together and getting this great taste,
This
sort of
great kind of
sensation.
complete taste on your palate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it brings out the flavor of the parm and the vinegar.
I don't know that I properly introduced you when we started this last segment because I was so excited to get from the segment prior. But we've been chatting with Eliza Ward from Chef Shop over there on Elliott. And if you think about a landmark-wise, the Seattle Fencing Club is over there. The flyover to Pier 90 is
Albert
right
Lee
there.
is real close.
Yeah.
Holy Mountain Brewery is next
But
door.
just be careful in that intersection. It's a busy little intersection, especially when a cruise ship is in.
Yep,
Yep.
that's true.
Thank you for joining us and
Thank
sharing some of the
you.
Thank you.
deliciousness that you sell at your shop.
Thank you. So this weekend, yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
When we come back, Larry Brown is here, co-owner and scooper-in-chief of the Moo Ice Cream Shop in
Well
Falls City,
done.
Washington on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Oh, and Sharon. And Sharon. Huh? Yeah, I just got back, so I've had a cold since I got back, so stay away. But yeah, anytime you want to chat. All right, deal. No, don't screw up.
Larry, you're going to be on this one, and then we'll pull it closer and put Sharon on this one. Okay. So, and you can't see it now, but you'll be on YouTube. So you can't see it on my computer.
Go ahead. Have some. It's delicious. Oh, now look what you got. From hard dairy to soft dairy.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi there.
That work? Okay.
When you say right in your face, you mean right in your face? Yeah, like an inch away. Oh, wow. Okay.
What's in the vanilla?
That's actually.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. That's like a chunky Italian sweet.
And that's Marionberry sorbet.
Delicious. Thank you. Dad.
How are you both?
Just
We're
fine,
good.
thanks. Yeah, delighted to be here.
I'm here.
I know.
And that's a vanilla salted caramel.
Your bestseller, no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Caramel is crazy.
Yeah. A Marionberry sorbet. And then an espresso flake.
And you guys own the shop, but you don't.
We
It's
own the
not
shop.
your
This
ice
is-
cream, right?
No, it's not our ice cream. We
Okay.
actually get our ice cream from Olympic Mountain.
Olympic
Ice
Mountain,
Cream.
yeah.
Okay.
They've been around a long time.
They 40 years, and they just produce a great product. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and they don't do. I think we're one of their first scoop shops, and we developed a great relationship with them.
Uh-huh.
They do mostly restaurants.
I know. I've bought from them over the years, on and off. So yeah.
Yeah.
When we're not making our own, we buy from them.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. I said, well,
They went to ice cream school, but they decided to do this instead.
yeah, we were going to.
Well, especially with all the pasteurization issues and.
We'd be buying a mix from a dairy because
Yeah.
to get around the pasteurization issues
Sure.
and everything else, and it's a lot of work.
All right, I want you to practice. Are there mics on, Nico?
Yeah.
All right, I want you to practice with me. You can't sit back like that. So Nico, get them moved up in their chairs, but you got to be right on top of the mic.
Like
Okay.
within an inch.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Practice with me.
Okay.
Practicing with
Get
you.
up there.
Oh, I'm on top of this.
There you go.
There we go. Right
There
on
you
top
go.
of it.
Perfect. Because when you're back here, it sounds like this.
Right.
And when you're up here, it sounds like this,
Got
right?
it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And if you're in the car driving with road noise and
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
she got
and
the
chocolate.
coffee.
She can't do chocolate either.
That's so good.
No eggs. That's right.
Oh, no eggs
No eggs
in all of it?
in all of them.
Oh. Okay.
There you go.
All right, we're back here in the kitchens at the Hot Stove Society show. I'll say, let me get this right. You've had Madeline's. You've had a ham and cheese crepe with mushroom gravy. You've had a fruit cup. You've had Reggiano Parmesan with $100 vinegar on top. Now you're having ice cream. You guys have to pay double. Hot coffee and tea. My goodness.
It's a good day here at the show.
Up to our guest microphone, Larry and Sharon Brown are here. They are the co-owners and both Scooper in Chief and Larry and Chief Taster and Sharon of Moo Ice Cream in Falls City, Washington. You should have a contest who can moo the best.
If you go to
We
our
do.
website,
Oh, do you?
Go to our website.
Good
You
job.
can submit your video.
All right, tell us about you because I don't know anything about you other than you're a handsome, beautiful couple.
Oh, thank you.
It's the sweatshirts.
Yeah, we about on April 5th we opened up an ice cream shop that's in Falls City. If any of you have been out to Falls City,
Oh, yeah.
it's right down near the river, and which has been the culmination of a dream that we'd had for years and years, and I was slowing down in my normal job, and was had been thinking about this and said now is the time. And
Thinking about what?
well, if you've
Larry,
ever been
I mean,
out
just
to Falls
thinking about
City,
what? I
Falls
mean, were
City
you
has
in
a lot
retail?
of- No. Falls City.
So thinking
lawyer.
about customer interaction. Oh, you were a lawyer.
I'm a
Customer interaction.
tax lawyer.
Thinking about what?
No, Falls City is a wonderful community.
Yeah.
If you ever drive through community, if you live, Falls City needs an ice cream shop.
Okay.
It's a small town, and it needed an ice cream shop.
So that's what you were thinking about. It's like, what would help make this place even more cool than it is?
exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, we have 14 grandkids,
Holy smokers.
and you know what?
And
what
Larry loves ice cream, and he's the one that wanted the ice cream shop,
Ah.
even if it was just for him.
Uh-huh.
I think.
I do like ice cream.
Yeah.
I really like ice cream.
Now, see, I look like ice cream, and it's not my favorite, but you don't look like you like ice cream.
Well,
You're too
that's-
skinny to like ice cream.
Well, that's more recent than. More recent than.
Well, you have to have a
than-
place to take 14 grandkids to.
Well, yeah,
Keep
and
them
we do- and
entertained.
you can imagine walking into an ice cream. We used to, take the kids on vacation and walk into an ice cream shop with 12, 14 grandkids, but it makes me the coolest grandpa around.
I bet it does. Yeah.
And what's really fun is that about 5 of our grandkids work in the shop.
That's
and-
super cool.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of our sons is working, helping out part-time, and then our nephew is the general manager. So
so
it's a
awesome.
family organization in a small town, and it's our gift to the town.
Right.
So
That's noble of you. I think that's a sweet idea. You don't hear people think about it from that perspective very often.
it's not so noble. I still like ice cream, and now I've
And
got
you like a
now-
margin on your product?
and I like that, and I've got an unlimited supply.
Our freezer is full. I can't fit anything in my
Really?
freezer anymore. Yes.
Yeah.
So, favorite flavors that you sell?
The three that you have here are our tops. So the vanilla salted caramel, the espresso flake, and then cookies and cream was my surprise. When we first started out, we got a lot of vanilla because that's what everybody told us. You got to have vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Those are going to be your biggest sellers.
Right.
And they're way down on the list. Yeah, so that was a surprise to us.
So you've teamed up with Olympic Mountain ice cream manufacturers. So
We
you're their
have.
first scoop shop.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. And we love working with them. When we had originally started thinking about making our own ice cream, and then my nephew and I went to Penn State's ice cream course. They do a world-renowned ice cream short course, and after that decided, no, this isn't something that we want to do. There's too much involved. And we wanted to have a really high quality ice cream. One, because I'm pretty discriminating, my ice cream, and so we looked around, and we would go to restaurants. Sharon and I would go to restaurants, and these restaurants would go out of their way to mention that they were serving Olympic Mountain ice cream, and it was just really good ice cream. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah. Yeah, really good ice cream. And the last time we were at the Salish Lodge. Yeah, and they said, yeah, we're serving Olympic Mountain ice cream. Finally, I said, there's something to this, and we contacted Olympic Mountain. They're a small operation, but they're just family operation. They've just been wonderful to work with. They'll customize anything for us. So Sharon likes coconut and nuts, and we had a coconut almond pecan that they're doing
That's
for
my
us.
favorite.
That's
Is
her
it?
favorite.
Yeah.
We didn't bring that
And
today.
it's really popular too, yeah.
The espresso flake, in fact, this Friday we get the espresso flake, but we're having them make it with ice cream from Aroma Coffee, which is the community coffee shop in Falls City. They have a
Perfect, yeah.
really wonderful coffee.
Yeah.
And so so it's been fun to work with them. Just wonderful people in a small operation, and just a delight. And they make a great product. I don't know how they do it, but they make a great product.
Sharon, your bio says you are the chief taster. Now, do you have to arm wrestle at all, or how do you get him to listen to you?
Well, I'm not, I don't have the highest voice or the loudest voice.
That's all right.
but
Just stay on the mic and you're
yeah,
good.
no, but I will say that one of the most important things about our shop, or the greatest thing, is that you can go in and taste as many flavors as you want. And for me, that is, I've been to so many ice cream shops where you go in and say, can we have a taste? And either they say we don't give tasters, or you might get one. And we have people stand there and go through all 16 flavors and try every one
It
of them.
doesn't make you crazy?
No, because we hire people that they can't go crazy over that. So
That's the whole point.
that's the whole point, So people really like that, and they can have the freedom to choose what they want. And we do, we just have it's a very family oriented place. So we're not like staunch, like there's a one way to do it, and people really feel at home there. So.
What you said you have a coconut pecan almond that you are
Yes.
bringing on.
Yes.
What are your other favorites? Since you're the chief taster,
Well, I don't know if I'm the chief taster, but I
Well,
do.
that's
I,
what,
She's
that's
got
what
her
your
opinion.
bio
That's what it says
says.
Her
yes.
opinion is on everything.
my opinion. I give my
We're
opinion.
still
That's for sure.
debating how much we should have, how many nuts we should have in our nut ice creams.
Yeah,
She
like-
doesn't think we have enough.
Yeah.
I think we have plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
how that
But
is.
the pistachio is really, really good. A favorite of the kids is the cotton candy. Now, honestly, I don't like any kid flavors, but we felt like we had to have a few. So this cotton candy, you would never know. It's not artificial looking or tasting, but it tastes like cotton candy,
That's what
and the
my
kids
kid
love
would
it.
go for.
it's really
Yeah,
good.
right. It's
100%.
actually really good, and I thought I am not even tasting the kid
Yeah.
flavors, but I.
Way to stand your ground and then crumble.
I know. Well, I stood my ground, but then the grandkids and my son were behind the counter, and they shoved that pink thing in my hand, and I thought it was strawberry. I go, "Oh, this is such good strawberry." They go, "That's cotton candy," and they fooled
They
me.
tricked you,
They
yeah.
tricked me, but it was very good. Yeah.
I don't love a whole lot of trashy flavors. I'm more of a strawberry guy, but I
Yeah.
will eat creamsicle anytime you put
Oh,
it in front
okay.
of me. Yeah. Yeah.
There's your hint. That's your
Yeah,
next
that's
flavor.
it.
There you go.
That orange creamsicle, for some reason, that and the Good Humor strawberry shortcake bar. Come on, are you kidding
That's
me?
There you go.
hilarious.
Every gas station has it.
Yeah, they do.
What's next?
What's next?
Do you follow like
Well,
a
they-
fruit season?
You know, it's really, we're seeing, we're really hesitant to change flavors, but we're going to fall seasons and probably change flavors quarterly. So we've got a handful of flavors, new flavors we're bringing on. We're going to, right now we're carrying a Marionberry and a lemon sorbet. We're going to swap the lemon for mango. In fact, I think this week. And we'll probably bring on a little bit later a POG. What is that? Passion fruit, orange, guava sorbet.
It's very good.
That's when it was.
Yeah, it's one of my
growing up,
favorites.
her favorite.
Yeah.
She learned to love
Yeah.
it on the Alaska Airlines flights to
Oh.
Hawaii.
They
It's
used
so
to serve
good.
the little cups of POG on the Alaska Airlines
Oh
flights
my
to
gosh.
Hawaii, and yep, it's the best.
It is the best. It's so good.
So we're also this week. I think we're bringing in a peanut butter pie with
Peanut butter cups.
peanut butter cups in it,
Jeez, Louise.
Yeah,
And-
that's really good.
and then a blackberry cheesecake ice cream.
Yeah.
You're close. Yeah, close to my strawberry cheesecake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's close.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
taking out. We have a lemon poppy seed that is one of my favorite,
Uh-huh.
and then we're switching the lemon poppy seed. I think with the blackberry.
What
Yeah.
favorite, Sharon? You've put it in the case and you love it, and it just doesn't sell. Is there one of those that came up
Oh.
for you?
I don't think there's one of my favorites that don't sell.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Yeah.
His favorite doesn't
Yeah.
sell, which is butter
the
pecan.
butter pecan.
Butter pecan.
It was like you have to have butter
I
pecan.
said, "Why do we have butter pecan?" He goes, "Everybody likes butter pecan," and then
Apparently
didn't sell.
they don't.
That's cute. Okay, cone or cup? I'm a cup person.
I'm a cup person.
I'm a cone person, and we make our own.
Loretta?
We make our own waffle cones.
I would prefer a cone. I more often get a cup because of like the travel factor. Yes,
Yeah.
I would say.
We started making two. It surprises. We started making two different size waffle cones. So we have a big waffle cone, but if you're getting a small scoop of ice cream, it gets lost in a big waffle cone. So we started making small waffle cones, and those have gone really well. When we started out, I like ice cream, so I wanted to have really big scoops. And so our signature scoop was a 12
Holy
fluid ounce
smokers.
scoop, 3/4 of a pint. And I thought, this is great. Well, we had that and the price of that on the top of our menu, and I guess everybody else didn't think it was great. and our 6-ounce scoop, we called that our mini Moo. Our big scoop's the Moo scoop. 6-ounce scoop was the mini Moo, and people didn't want a mini scoop, even though it was 6 ounces, which is a really generous scoop. So we had to restructure that early on. So now we've got our 6-ounce Moo scoop, our signature scoop. We've got a double Moo, which is 12 ounces. And then what you're having right now is our baby Moo, which is a 3-ounce scoop.
That's the right size cup
That's
for
the
me.
right size.
That's what a lot of people are getting, but we can get that in a small waffle cone for you.
All right, if you want to know what current flavors are at Moo, M-O-O, icecream.com, You can find current flavors and
Yep.
activities and all the fun things that are happening.
We also have gluten-free cones, and we have dairy-free ice cream as well, in really cool flavors. Like they're really good flavors, the dairy-free. So, and they taste
Okay,
great.
give
so.
me one. I can't even imagine. Give me one.
Banana,
Right now, we're carrying a
Banana
banana chocolate chip.
banana chocolate.
Non-dairy. It's made
And
with a coconut base.
Uh-huh.
It's creamy. It tastes, they,
And your
they
ice
use
creams are
real
eggless
bananas.
too, right? Is that what I understand?
They're eggless, yes.
Yeah.
Except for when we have inclusions in them that have eggs in them,
I see.
like
Like
Oreo cookies.
Yeah, like a cookie. Yeah. Well, it sounds like fun. Hopefully you don't end up underwater out there if you're right next to that darn river. That one floods all the time,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
but not where we are. We're out of the
Okay.
floodplain.
I love that you're investing in your community and your family and stuff like this. It's really awesome to hear, and
It
I
has
can't wait
been
to
a lot
come.
of fun.
Well, it's one of my favorite things about where you live in Magnolia, Loretta, is that you can just walk into the Midtown Magnolia with your kids, and it's a real family atmosphere.
We have an ice cream shop.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
One other fun thing about our shop is on top of the roof we have this life-size cow, and Larry stays up at night and dreams about what he's going to put on that cow.
Really?
For every occasion, like
Right.
the Cinco de Mayo. He had it going.
Uh-huh.
And for every holiday he has something that he puts on up there. So
Larry's got some pent-up issues.
he does.
No,
he
we
does.
wanted the shop to be, if just driving up to the shop, we get a lot of drive-by traffic, and
Yeah.
the shop, the exterior is painted like a Holstein cow, so it's the black and white spots. We've got a life-size cow mounted on the roof, and then when you go in, it's just a really charming place. It feels like an ice cream shop.
I can't wait to take
You
my
had a lot of
grandkids.
creativity after a career as a tax attorney to put towards an
Pent-up
ice cream.
creativity.
Yeah,
Pent
exactly.
up. He dreams about this
All
stuff,
right.
I tell you.
It's time for us to head into Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Blends. You're listening to us on the Hot Stove Show Radio, 97.3 FM.
Thank you so much.
That was lovely. Nice job, you guys.
Thank you.
Just finish that off.
I need another photo of you all and Eliza. Because Tom was eating.
Tom was what, eating? I had a big mouthful of Reggiano. I gave you the opportunity. Come on in here. Good luck to you. Mystic Lake?
It's not speed trivia, right? Well, you're just gonna right. Do you want to stand? Yeah, we can stand. If you want to sit, here, you can. I'm gonna stand. I'm gonna stand.
This will make me closer to your eyes.
Oh, those are cute. It's trivia, food, tasty trivia.
Get the answers. No, can I get the answers from? Sound like an idiot.
Dude, you're supposed to offer the lady the seat.
He's too tall.
So tall. I'm gonna stay right here. Yeah.
All right, let's practice. When you
Testing 1, 2.
true or false?
True.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
a little louder.
I like how you got right to the microphone. All right. You know you have to be right on top of it. Bring flavor to your Memorial Day barbecue with Rub with Love seasonings and sauces. You can pick up some at Made in Washington stores in Seattle at the Pike Place Market, Alderwood Mall, Bellevue Square, and many other great retailers like Chef Shop and J. Matheson or your local grocery store.
Welcome back, Tom.
Thank you. I haven't lost in 5 weeks.
How does that feel?
It feels awesome.
Great.
I feel like a winner.
You feel like a winner?
Yeah. Tell us how to play the game and who's going to play.
Well, we've got you and Loretta, and we've got two lovely audience members, Mimi and Andy Day from West Seattle, and they're brave enough. They're going to give it a go, so I'm excited to see how it goes. And the winner will take a stroll through the gift shop.
Three spice rubs of your choice. Mm-hmm. Very exciting.
Very exciting. And we'll start with Loretta so you can see how it goes. All right, Loretta, it's been...
I know, I'm rusty.
There we go.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Loretta, first question. Which vegetable was originally purple, yellow, and white before being bred into the orange version we know today?
Sweet potato?
Carrot.
Or a carrot.
A
yeah.
carrot, yes. Okay, number 2.
Oh, I like when she has only 2 choices and she picked the wrong
I know.
one.
Number 2, true or false? Canned black olives in the U.S. are naturally ripened on the tree until they turn black. Is that true or false?
False.
That is false. They're harvested green and treated with an iron compound that turns them black during processing. The result is firmer texture, milder flavor compared to the naturally ripened olives.
You know what else the result is? Is they stay firm enough to put on your fingertips because
That's the fun part. That's the fun
they're
part.
not mushy ripe. Yeah.
Do you still do that?
No.
No.
They don't
Your
quite
fingers
fit my
went
fingers.
Be some big olives.
After the age of 3. Yes. Okay, number 3. Beers fall into 2 main categories, ales and lagers, which are classified based on the type of yeast and fermentation process used. Ales are brewed with the top fermenting yeast at warmer temperatures, while lagers use bottom fermenting yeast at cooler temperatures. Which beer, ale or lager, tends to result in a higher alcohol content?
An ale.
It is the ale, 5 to 12%, where lagers are 4 to 6. Good job. Number 4.
I was at Old Stove the other day. They had a $40 bottle of beer.
Oh,
Yeah, like a little fifth size bottle
Yeah.
of beer that had been aged for 5 years.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you taste it?
I wouldn't taste it.
Okay.
It was just sour. I'm just not a
Okay.
fan.
All right. Number 4. Which popular Peruvian dish features the tangy marinade known as tiger's milk or leche de tigre?
Tangy marinade.
Peruvian.
I don't know. Is it like a ceviche?
Ceviche it is. Yes, it's that white.
It's the only thing I could think of,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Good job. Final question. What powdered beverage introduced in 1957 takes its name from a term describing sharp or zesty flavors, highlighting its citrusy taste?
It went to the moon. It went to the moon. All right, let our guest answer for her.
Okay.
Tang.
You
Tang.
got it. Good
Tang.
job. All right.
Yeah.
So that is 3 out of 5.
All right.
Okay, Mimi and Andy, you ready? Okay, first question. Which vegetable is technically a flower and comes in purple, white, and green varieties?
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower it is. Good job. Number 2, true or false? All pumpkin seeds are the same, but pepitas are just regular seeds that have their shells removed.
Can you repeat the question,
Sure.
please?
All pumpkin seeds are the same, but pepitas are just regular seeds that have their shells removed.
He says false.
And he is correct.
She didn't want to own that one, Mimi, did you?
No, that's cute. Pepitas come from special pumpkin varieties that naturally grow shell-free.
That's so funny.
Num-
He says false.
I'm going to use that one. I like that. Number 3, in which country did frozen yogurt originate? Would you like options? Okay. U.S., Italy, or Greece?
U.S.
Wow, you're doing great. It was first developed in the 1970s as a healthier alternative to ice cream. Number 4 is a follow-up to this question, and it's multiple choice. Where was frozen yogurt first introduced to the public? Macy's in Chicago, Bloomingdale's department store in New York, or Nordstrom in Seattle?
Macy's.
Bloomingdale's. H.P. Hood created frozen yogurt after Bloomingdale's requested a low-fat frozen dessert. Final question. True or false? Traditional baguettes in France contain eggs as one of their main ingredients. Is that true or false, the traditional?
False.
Oh, you got it. It's false. All right. 4 out of 5.
Nice work, team.
You were not going to go for that.
West
No.
Seattle Smarties over here.
Yeah. All right, Tom.
Yeah. All right.
I'm excited about this.
I'm not.
Which fruit has the highest oil content of any plant-based food? And is
Avocado.
Yes, good job. 15 to
Who knew?
30%. Well, you
I
did.
did.
Olive also qualifies. They're about the same. This one's about a little food in the news while you were traveling. California is the heart of avocado industry and home to Chipotle's robot trials, where the Autocado is being tested. This robot peels, slices, and cores avocados, significantly reducing prep time for guacamole.
Okay.
Multiple choice. How many seconds does it take for the Autocado to process an avocado? 10, 26, or 55 seconds?
Well, it would take me 55, so I would think it would be less. I'm going to go with 10 seconds.
It's actually 26, but
26.
it's 55 is about the time it takes a human. So
Yeah.
that's a talented human.
Ow.
All right. Okay, number 3, another headline while you were traveling. This one's fun. What TV game show hosted by an Edmonds-born host recently corrected a contestant with, "No, sorry, we are all sticklers in Seattle. It's Pike Place, not Pike's Place."
Survivor.
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. This was
Well, the Survivor guy is from Seattle too. You know. The guy,
yeah, but that wasn't.
Is that not a
like-
game
that-
show?
no, that wasn't a game show. But this was in response to the clue: if the 1960s plan to replace Seattle market with high-rise had succeeded, there might be no Starbucks today. But that was a fun fact.
Well, the fun fact about that, Starbucks wasn't in the Pike Place market.
Right.
It was on the next block up.
Which
where
is
my restaurant,
Mr. Fish
Mr. Fish is.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the truth. Number 4, true or false?
So do I get to call Ken Jennings and say, "Listen, dude, get your facts straight"?
No, he's the one that corrected.
He corrected how you say Pike. It's not Pike's Place.
Right,
market.
because they called it Pike's Place, and
I
he
understand,
corrected
but
it.
Starbucks was not in the Pike
Oh, I
Place
see. Yeah,
market.
give him a call.
Okay, I'll give
Okay,
him.
we'll have him on.
He eats at the Palace like all the time.
Does
so
he?
you can just
I'll call
pop
Ken.
in.
There you go.
Oh,
So-
me and Ken, we're like this.
You totally.
Yeah.
True or false, according to Food and Wine, Jacques Pepin's go-to butter for baking is a French import. Is that true or false?
False.
It is false.
Yeah. Why would he do that?
He often uses Land O'Lakes. It's affordable. And he's kind of cheap.
My wife, Jackie, loves Land O'Lakes
Oh,
butter,
okay.
so I never buy it. No, honestly, we were buying it for a bit. It's hard to get around here.
Is it?
But I also love that French. We did the butter tasting here on the show, and that French.
The Insigne de Mer one, right? Is
Well,
the one
that
you
one's
like?
good, but it's the blue and white
blue
check.
and white checker.
Yeah.
You see something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that one.
Yeah, that
okay.
one.
Final question. When recommending a European style butter with 82% butter fat,
With how many? What percent?
82%
Yeah. Uh-huh.
content, and a tangy cultured flavor, Jacques Pepin suggests what?
Well, Plugras would be my guess, or it's the butter from Brittany St. Ives.
Close. Kerrygold, pure Irish.
Jacques Pepin?
Uh-huh.
He is dead to me.
Well, he's still very well alive. Well,
We're doing an event for Jacques,
Jacques.
in September.
Oh,
So
exciting.
look for that to benefit his foundations.
Fun. That's a great foundation.
Good man.
Yes.
He and Thierry,
Yes.
two peas in a pod.
Oh, so
Yeah.
charming too.
Yeah.
Okay, Mimi and Andy, congratulations. You're the winner.
Nice job. West Seattle showing up.
Thank you.
If you want to be part of the show, you can join the community at YouTube Live on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. Let's start that again, Nico. If you want to be part of the show, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or buy a ticket to join us here in the studio at hotstovesociety.com. The show is produced by Becky Guzak. Our technical wizard today is Nico Caballero. And our talented editor at Cairo is Sean, please don't call me, Del Torre. And if you miss any episode of the Hot Stove Society show in Cairo, oddly, just listen to your favorite podcast station and you'll find us.
Thank you for listening.
And happy Memorial Day.
Oh,
You never like the way I say that.
no, because you don't listen to a podcast station.
You listen to a podcast on a station, so you listen to a podcast
You
station.
listen
No,
to a
it's-
podcast
If you
on
listen
an
to a
app.
podcast on Cairo, you listen to the station of Cairo.
No, on Cairo, this is a radio show.
Would you call Apple a station?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay, everyone shut up for a minute. No, please, quiet on the set, including the kitchen team, please. Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Loretta
apparently ignorant of what podcasts
A
are.
big dum dum.
And a dum-dum.
Welcome home,
Who's a
Dad.
dum-dum? Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas.
And I'm Loretta Douglas.
Today on the Hot Stove Society show, we talk about whether Loretta is a dum-dum or not. We talk KP dinners and horse soldier whiskey with Chef Micah Windham from the Sleeping Lady Resort up in Leavenworth. Eliza Ward is here from Chef Shop and guides us through Parmigiano Reggiano. And Larry and Sharon Brown bring delicious ice cream from their new scoop shop in Falls City called Moo. Done.
Sean, you got all that?
Thank you all. Boy, what time is it?